What is going on, everyone? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, and welcome to the next edition of Fallout 3 Secrets and Facts You May Not Remember. And if you can't tell, I have a bit of a cold, so I apologize for that. In the last episode, we talked about some interesting facts relating to the intro of Fallout 3 and also Vault 101, where you start your journey. Today, we're going to be deep diving into both Springvale and Springvale Elementary. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe with notifications. I'd really appreciate it. So with that out of the way, and again thanks to the Fallout 3 wiki, which is linked and referenced in the description below, here are the secrets and facts of Fallout 3 that you may not remember, part 2. The water tower in Springvale is one of only 6 drinkable water towers in the capital wasteland. There are then 3 others which are not drinkable. It's fascinating that even 200 years after the Great War, these water towers still contain water, albeit radioactive water. Also, this water tower is Springvale's tallest structure. The locked cellar door in Springvale hides the location of the Holy Light Monastery, which is accessible during the Broken Steel DLC. The Apostles of the Holy Light established themselves here after the Brotherhood of Steel and the Enclave fought at the Jefferson Memorial. Interestingly, the monastery is full of people who used to be members of the Children of Adam, some of which are now ghouls due to the radiation they subjected themselves to. There is a Red Rocket gas station in Springvale, which is one of only 13 in the entire capital wasteland. The small ranch where Silver lives is the only habitable house in Springvale. The rest are either destroyed or boarded up. Silver is also the sole inhabitant of Springvale, and it's useful to head to her home early on, as you can obtain up to 400 caps from her, which is tied to the 300 pieces of silver unmarked quest. When you ask Colin Moriarty in Megaton where your dad is, he can send you here to get these caps from Silver because she owes him the money. But in fact, you don't need to speak to Colin at all to grab these caps, and then you can keep them for yourself. There are much better ways of finding out where your dad went.
I'm tired of hiding out here like some kind of wasteland dog. I guess you're right. Here, this is all I have. Please leave me alone now.
In Springvale and throughout the capital wasteland, you can find letters from Vault-Tec inside letterboxes. There are 2 versions, a general rejection letter to all of those who were not accepted into a vault, and then an acceptance letter. Specifically in Springvale, just prior to the Great War, families petitioned for spots inside Vault 101, but only some were successful. The acceptance letter in Springvale is addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Gomez, ancestors of Officer Gomez, the officer that was friendly to you in the vault and let you go during the Radroche infestation. This letter tells us some cool facts about Vault 101. First, in the event of an emergency entrance, personal belongings were not allowed into the vault, likely because vault security didn't have enough time to check all of these personal belongings and make sure they were safe. And of course, this is likely what happened when the bombs dropped during the Great War. Secondly, people were contacted via holotape message when the vaults were activated. And third, if incumbent vault inhabitants presented their letter to Vault-Tec representatives, they would receive a commemorative Vault Boy bobblehead toy. But since the Gomez's letter was still in their letterbox, they obviously didn't receive this bobblehead themselves, though others might have. The rejection letters, on the other hand, are generic and sent to everybody who was rejected from a vault. Funnily enough, Vault-Tec still kept their deposits, with the justification that these people would be added to a waiting list for another vault. Though Vault-Tec claimed there were other vaults available without a waiting list though, it's unknown whether these vaults were ever actually completed. And finally, Springvale is one of the spots where the Enclave can spawn once they start appearing in the capital wasteland. An Enclave vertibird can spawn northwest of the town, where they establish a base camp. Now it's time to chat about Springvale Elementary. Springvale Elementary used to have 5 stories, but the 3 upper floors were destroyed in the Great War. Due to this, the school was abandoned for about 2 centuries, until a group of raiders set up shop here in 2277, with their main focus being to attack caravans, passers-by, and nearby towns like Megaton, though we'll talk about how successful they were at this later on in the video. Throughout the school, you can find these posters that were designed to teach children before the war about how they should find shelter in the event of a nuclear emergency. This clock in the elementary is stuck at 9:47. On its own, this isn't noteworthy, until you realise that all clocks in the capital wasteland are also stuck at this time, because this is the time when the nukes hit and caused all the clocks to stop working. Inside Springvale Elementary, there are 2 cages filled with skeletons. Due to the size of these skeletons, it's safe to assume that they are the skeletons of children. It is unknown how the children got inside the cages, why they were there, and how they died. We note that the cages were not installed before the Great War, because why would a school ever need them? them. Therefore, it's unlikely these are the skeletons of the school children that used to attend the school. What happened was that the raiders installed these cages to lock up hostages, which also suggests that they are responsible for the children's deaths. This is chilling because there is a lot of blood in these cages, including bloodstains in the shape of what looks like small child hands. Moving on to more lighter topics. In the top of one of these cages near the entrance, you can find a Nuka-Cola Quantum bottle. In one of the classrooms, you can find one of 6 sheet music books. These are part of Agatha's song quest and can be brought to her in exchange for either a unique Black Hawk Magnum or good karma. If you listen closely, the raiders inside the school speak about how their raider friends travelled up north, but upon returning, they screamed about claws of death. It's likely that these raiders discovered death claws, and if you think about it, it also gives some insights about how death claws were named death claws in the first place, if everybody referred to their dangerous claws as claws of death. In the lower level of the school, you will find a locked door that leads to an underground tunnel. But why is this here? Well, as you know, Vault 101 is almost impossible to gain access to, especially with the Overseer being so selective as to who leaves and enters. However, Vault 101 has many valuable resources and would of course be a strategic location to control, hence why so many have tried to access it, including the skeletons outside the vault that I showed you in the last episode, and also the raiders of Springvale Elementary. Their plan was to dig a tunnel to Vault 101 from the school, and they actually began doing so with shovels, but eventually started to use explosives to speed up the process, in addition to capturing wastelanders to dig for them. But their efforts were in vain. As they were digging, a hive of giant ants were discovered, which ended up killing 7 of their best diggers. This is why the raiders stopped, locked the door, and patrolled the basement. Later they thought about poisoning the ants, but this never occurred, as the ants are still well and truly alive when you arrive there. And finally, this terminal on the top floor contains some interesting facts about the raiders. First, their previous leader, Boppo, was the one responsible for the raiders setting up camp at the school in the first place. However, Boppo got cocky by leading a raid against Megaton. The raid was a complete failure and Boppo got killed by Lucas Sims. The rest of the raiders were also chased away by Lucas Sims and Stockholm, the sniper that keeps a watch at the top of Megaton. A new leader then took over the raiders with a new mission, digging towards Vault 101 to gain access. Now the second fact, the mines that they used in the digging towards Vault 101 actually exploded the side of the building. Now to be clear, these explosions were not the ones that caused the significant damage that's on the side of the school, where you find raiders patrolling when you first encounter Springvale Elementary. This specific damage was due to the Great War. However, these explosions might explain other minor damage to the school. And due to this, the raiders started to use less explosives when digging, especially because they were fearful that people from Megaton would notice them and disrupt their plans. They were clearly still scared of Lucas Sims and Stockholm. And lastly, the new raider leader, who goes unnamed, was worried that his own men would end up killing him if he didn't clear the ants and get them access to Vault 101. This is why he thought about poisoning the ants. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to be notified of future videos releasing as part of this series, feel free to subscribe with notifications. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourselves and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.